Welcome to R&B Source. This is DJ Pineapples, and today we have a very special guest on the show, an artist that can do it all. She writes, produces, and she has one of the most beautiful tones I've ever heard. At the moment, she's sold out the Jazz Cafe 3 nights in London, right?
3 nights.
Doing your headline tour in Europe. I'm so happy to have Alex Isley on R&B Source.
Hi, thank you for having me.
How are you?
Great. I'm still a little jet lagged, but I'm feeling great.
So do you know what? I was at the Recipe in July and just seeing like the love that you got from the crowd, it literally made me tear up, you know? Like I was just like, because remember at the start you came on, there was like some technical problems, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the sound came and everyone went crazy. Like,
I remember, yeah.
It was so beautiful. And I was like, Alex needs to come back. And you're here.
I'm here and I'm happy to be here. Yeah, being there at the Recipe and their reception it made me really emotional.
Yeah, it was definitely an emotional moment.
Yeah.
So do you know what, Alex? I want to take it right back to the beginning. I want to know, what are some of your first musical memories?
Some of my first musical memories are, I grew up in the 90s, so I remember Mariah Carey's kind of breakout single and album. I remember a lot of Anita Baker, a lot of Toni Braxton, a lot of the 90s girls, Brandy and Aaliyah, Tamia, Monica. I mean, the list goes on. So,
but you know what? So people listening might not know that you're from a legendary family. So your dad is Ernie Isley. So I want to know, like, growing up, was you around any of their like rehearsals or studio sessions?
Oh yeah, rehearsals, shows. That was my first concert experience. I mean, up until I was 12, that was the only concert I had been to.
Wow.
Sessions, award shows, and that was all very normal.
So what did you learn from watching them at such a young age that you've like been able to take into your own artistry?
I learned about how much they love what they do and the quality of what they do, and they're very intentional with what they do, and that's why they've lasted for so long, and they're continuing to travel, and they're gone most weeks out of the year away from home, and they're still recording and going strong. So I learned about the love and the consistent quality from them.
That's so true. Because, I was looking at the Wikipedia and it said that they started in 1954. And I'm like, what? This is like 70 years.
Yeah.
It's actually insane.
Yeah.
So do you know what? I want to ask then, how old would you say you were when you kind of realized that like my family is different? Like people recognize like my dad.
I think I was maybe like 7 or 8 when I got the concept of fame or famous, and Dad and Uncle Ronald and my uncles, they're famous for music and they're famous for performing. That's when I got that whole concept of that world. Yeah.
So like, when you went out to like a supermarket, was there like people like stopping your dad, and was that like a regular thing? No, not really.
No, maybe every now and then, but my dad is real low key, baseball hats and, real incognito. So.
I guess there's like a way to disguise yourself. Right, yeah. You know what? When COVID happened, I bet a lot of artists loved that. They could like wear the mask and it was like normal, right? A good way.
Yeah.
So do you know what? I want to know, when it comes to R&B, is there like a specific album or artist that you would say that really sparked your love for it?
I always loved performing and just absorbing sounds and influences. But I think my college years, I went to UCLA, and I think that time was really important for me. I studied a lot of D'Angelo, and I feel like anything I learned as far as stacking harmonies and arranging those, I feel like I learned a lot of that from him. So I kind of rediscovered the Voodoo album, and this was, at the time, Voodoo had already been out for maybe like 10 years or so, and so but it still sounds so brand new even to this day.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
that's a classic, and he's meant to be working on new music as well.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Yeah. So I want to know, when did you like realize that you could sing?
I don't know when that specific moment clicked for me, but I knew I was I think I was 5 when I knew that I loved to perform in front of an audience, and I liked that energy, and I just wanted to do it as much as I could. That first moment for me, I was 5,
Wow.
and I performed at my school's talent show, and I sang Somewhere Over the Rainbow.
Oh, that's so cute.
And a cappella, no music, and just I had such a great time up there. I was like, I just want to keep doing this.
And do you know what? I read that your grandmother was an opera singer, right? And
Yes.
didn't she classically train you?
Yeah, she did. She did. And then we sang different arias together, and she taught me about. I learned some of the music from Madame Butterfly, Gianni Schicchi, like a ton of different things. Like I got such a great appreciation for opera, and it's such a great art form. And so I really gained that appreciation from singing it with her.
And how would you say that like studying that has shaped your voice?
Oh, I mean, technically, the technical part of that, what I learned from her has shaped everything, and the importance of warming up. So yeah, all that was instilled in me from her. So it's essential.
So, you know, for you before a show, like what is on your list of things to do to warm up as a vocalist?
Warming up, at least, I like to take at least a solid 30 minutes at the very least. And then just keeping my mouth shut until it's
Are
time.
you like having like tea and honey? You know, you kind of hear that.
I typically just do warm water and honey because I know lemon can tend to dry out your throat from the acidity. And so I just warm water and honey. I mean, if lemon works for whoever, for me, I do, just warm water and honey.
And you know what? You're such a accurate singer, and I know that you have perfect pitch. So I want to know, how has that been useful to you when being creative?
Good question. I don't know if it's so much the perfect pitch on the creative side, but I do have, it's a thing called synesthesia, where I associate notes and chords, keys with colors. And so that helps me on the creative side because every key evokes a different mood and a different emotion for me.
Wow.
So yeah, a key can change everything. If you change, you know, I don't know, a Stevie Wonder record to another key, I feel like it'll paint a whole nother picture. So yeah, on the creative side, the synesthesia helps me. But I mean, the perfect pitch, yeah, I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, for sure. Do you feel like it kind of like helps execute maybe the ideas that you have in your head though?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I kind of was thinking, but that's a superpower. That is a superpower.
Yeah.
And do you know what? I noticed that your earlier projects that you were producing everything by yourself. When did you start learning to produce?
I started learning 2009, just fooling around with GarageBand. And I was really into Jay Dilla in college. And so I had this idea to put out like a mixtape and sing over some of his beats.
Oh, wow.
And so I told my mom about the idea, and she had worked in music licensing. And so she's coming from well, I don't know if that's a good idea because you don't want his estate coming after you. And so I'm like, all right, okay. So she was like, well, why don't you produce your own music? And I was like, what do you mean? I don't know how to produce. I don't know the first thing about production. Like, I can't do that. That was the first thing I thought. But she helped me invest in Logic and Pro Tools. And that was the beginning. So yeah, I'm grateful that she suggested that.
Yeah, exactly. So you just literally got the software, and did you start learning to play anything?
I just delved into it. I knew a little bit of piano, and so I just delved into all the sounds and a lot of experimentation, a lot of frustration trying to learn and make sense of everything in front of me. Yeah, it's just a lot of figuring things out and trial and error. So.
And that was at the time when we had YouTube though, right? So like you could kind of like go on tutorials on there and...
Yeah. A lot of YouTube tutorials, yeah.
They could be super helpful. Yeah. But you know what? So I want to talk about one of my favorite tracks from you, and that is When It Rains. I love the 80s feel, and it literally feels like so therapeutic. Like if I'm having a bad day, I can put that song on and it feels like everything's going to be okay. So I want to know, like, what was the inspiration behind that?
I think just a reminder to myself first and foremost. And I think, just the space that I was in, I just wanted to encourage myself and started with that. And then I was like, well, what would I tell somebody else if they were in the same kind of mental space I was in? And so, yeah, that was my starting point.
That's a powerful song though. Like I said,
Thank you.
it really connects and makes me feel like it's gonna be okay, you know? It's a beautiful track.
Thank you.
So in 2019, you released a joint project with Jack Dine called Wilton. And you also have an EP called Marigold. I want to know, how did you guys get connected?
We connected, I think, through Instagram. I think he had seen one of my singing videos. I was singing a jazz standard, I think. And so he reached out, and I was kind of familiar with his name because he had worked with other artists that I loved, but I hadn't met him or anything. And we just were in the studio one day and everything clicked, and we were like, okay, well, let's come back and make something else. And so we had a weekly standing appointment where every week we would get in and we would create something. And then we were like, well, maybe we should make some sort of collective, some sort of project. So yeah, it was all very natural and organic how it came.
You just kind of like feel the chemistry, right? When you're in a room with someone and you kind of are on you got the same ideas.
Yeah.
But you know what, then I want to ask, like, what kind of made you step away? Because at the start you were producing a lot of it yourself. So then like go into other producers.
It was never my plan necessarily to produce. I'm grateful that I can. And I still produce indirectly. I'm not necessarily on the machines and everything. But I like it that way. I love the collaborative space and working with other producers that I admire, and I love their sound and creating something together. So I think that's where the beauty of everything is for me. And I feel like I'm a little less critical of the music when I'm not doing everything myself. So just to take a step back and focus on the vocals and the writing, I think more so, and still having a hand in the production, but just opening the door to collaborating with others. Yeah.
And do you know what, then I just want to talk about Such a Thing. What an incredible song.
Thank you.
It literally feels like I'm floating when I listen to it, like on a cloud. Like, how did that session go? How did you create that song?
We were, Jack and I think it was like summer of 2020 when it was a little safer to be in person during the pandemic. And I started with some chords on the piano, and that was the beginning of it. So
you started that song off?
I believe, no, you know what? It was Morgan Burrs on guitar. Shout out to Morgan. So yeah, he had sent a loop and we just went from there and built it.
That is a very special record though. And do you know what? I just want to say that I'm always playing your music on my radio show, R&B Source. And one thing that I'm always talking about is your tone. Like, it is so special. Like, it's one of one, honestly. And you know what? There's another artist I also love, Aaliyah. Like, her tone to me was super beautiful. And I know that she covered, like, Isley Brothers. She done Choosy Lover and At Your Best, which I know that your dad wrote. So I want to know, like, when it comes to songwriting, did your dad give you any kind of gems?
I think any gems that he has given me has been kind of just indirect and through. I think his music speaks for itself. I have picked his brain about, his inspirations, and so that's interesting, and I'm grateful to be able to have those conversations with him. But I think more than anything, I've just learned through just listening to his approach, and he has a specific niche, and so I like studying and picking apart what he's done. So yeah, that's the best teacher though, the music itself.
For sure. So with yourself, when it comes to your songwriting process, do you have like a formula that you normally follow, or is it like different every time?
It's different every time, literally. So, but I'm glad that it's unpredictable that way. I don't have any set process or anything. Okay.
So you just kind of let the music move you, basically.
Yeah.
So do you know what? I want to say a big congratulations, because last year you were Grammy nominated, or this year, start of February. You were Grammy nominated for your track with Robert Glasper and Sir called Back to Love. How did that feel?
Oh my gosh, I'm still kind of reeling in that moment from the day the nominations were announced. It was surreal for me.
Yeah, I can imagine it. And you know what a beautiful moment for your daughter as well. You and Kenyon, like mom and dad.
That's
crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's incredible. And I also saw that you put up your Grammy consideration for next year's Grammys as well,
Yes.
with your project with Terrace Martin. So
Yes.
you're going to get it. You're going to get it.
Thank you. Thank you.
So do you know what? I want to talk about your work with Robert Glasper.
Mm-hmm.
The song Still Wonder. Oh my gosh. Like every time I hear it, I literally feel like I'm going to cry.
Oh.
It's so beautiful. And
Thank
your vocals convey like so much emotion. How did that song come about? And how did the collab with Robert Glasper come about?
So Robert has become a big brother of mine. And for a long time, he was just somebody that I really admired and wanted to work with. And so now to be considered, or to consider him family pretty much, and to, you know, work with him as much as I do. And, you know, he reaches out to me whenever he has certain ideas. And so that's always awesome. But so Jack and I were in the studio putting together Still Wonder. And then I was like, well, maybe if we have some sort of solo at the end, like maybe piano. And I was like, well, maybe Robert will do it. And so I reached out and he was like, absolutely, send it to me. And so, yeah, I'm grateful for that camaraderie, and, you know, that's my big brother. So
that song though, like that is a modern day classic.
Thank you.
That song is incredible.
Thank you.
So do you know what? So you released a project with Terrace Martin and you've also done projects with Jack Dine. I want to know, like, when it comes to collaborating with one producer, like for your project, how do you feel like that benefits the project? You know, like working exclusively with just one person. Like, you know, like you get like Full Moon with Brandy and Darkchild, like,
Yeah.
like A. Marie and Rich Harrison with All I Have, like that kind of connection.
I think it's a specific cohesiveness for sure when you're working with one specific person. But I do think those are all very specific cases. Like the Wilton project that we did, Jack and I did kind of side by side, same for Marigold. And then the project that Terrace and I did kind of side by side. I feel like the creative work was kind of equal between us, and the input and the just a lot of the legwork was just kind of split in between us. And so yeah, I'm glad how everything turned out.
I think you can definitely hear though, like you're saying, like the cohesiveness of the project. It just flows perfectly. And do you know what? So talking of producers on R&B Source, I literally feel like it's like a fan show for D-Mal. I'm like such a fan of him.
Yeah, I mean, come on. He's a genius.
He is. So do you know, when I was listening to Lucky Days Candy Drip, I was like, hold up. Like, this is Alex Isley. Can you tell us how that happened and how you became part of that project?
Yeah, so that was the height of the pandemic and we're all at home, and Dee reaches out to me and is like, hey, can you send me some vocal loops? I was like, okay. So I made maybe like 6 or 7 little things and I sent them, and he was like, okay, I'm working on stuff for Lucky. He was like, okay, thank you. And he came back maybe a few weeks or months later and sent me, I think he sent me Ego. He sent me Cherry Forest, and then the entire intro was built around one of the ideas that I sent him. So I was like, this is incredible. So I'm happy to be, you know, a part of that beautiful album because it's one of my favorites. So.
It really is. But you add so much to it. Like when I heard your voice, I was like, oh, so fire. Do you know what? Another song I listened to recently and I was like, I can hear Alex Isley on the vocals, Is the Amour's Goodbye.
Oh yeah,
and that was produced by Camper, another incredible producer.
Yeah, that's my guy.
And he sampled you singing Brandy, He Is, right? Is it Brandy, He Is?
Yes, I was doing a 60-second Thursday joint and just did all the parts and uploaded it on Instagram. And so, yeah, that's cool how he took it.
I remember like when you were doing covers on Instagram quite a lot.
Yeah.
So was it from that or did he get you to like re-record it?
Yeah, no, it was from what I uploaded. Yeah.
Wow. So do you know what? Now that I mentioned Brandy and He Is, right, I feel like on R&B Source, every interview I do, Brandy Full Moon gets brought up.
Yes.
So I want to ask you a question.
Okay.
I want to ask you, what's your favorite song of that album?
Oh, you know, I have different moments. I think lately I've been into, let's see, is it Apart? I think I've been into Apart, but I think my favorite has always been Anybody Is it called Anybody?
It
or
is
Nobody?
Anybody.
Okay.
No, it's Anybody.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that is such a great album. I feel like I need to always ask everyone because it's such a cult classic,
Yes.
you know, in the R&B.
Yeah.
So you've also collaborated recently with Dustin Conrad on Same Mistake and Ombre as well with You Don't Know. How did them collaborations come about?
Dustin, so he sent me that joint top of this year actually. And when he sent it to me, I played it. I was like, I have to do something on this. Like, I have to be a part of this because it's just so beautiful. So wrote and recorded my verse at home and sent it back. And I think less than 2 weeks later, it was out.
What?
Yeah, it was all
way.
a super quick turnaround.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. And you were also on Tank as well, No Limit, right?
Yeah.
That was like my favorite song on the album. And your verse, like you do like a run on your verse and I'm like, oh my gosh, like that run is crazy. So do you know what? Talking to collaborations, I want to ask them, like, who are some of your dream collaborations?
I was just talking to somebody about this. Labyrinth is a dream collaboration.
Oh wow. So that's UK.
Yeah. He's another genius. Like in my mind, he's just crazy. Let's see. I mean, of course, Stevie, you know, if I have my way, I'll at least meet the man at some point.
Do you know what? I need to just say then that, like, I always laugh because I know in your bio, you're like, yeah. And then you say, no, I haven't met Stevie yet. I'm like, can your dad not hook it up for you? Like, what's going on?
You know, I think it might be harder for him because it's just logistics and he doesn't live in California where I live. So it's just, but I have faith that I'll meet him someday.
I saw he was in LA recently. He came out for the Usher show, right? For Usher.
Yeah.
That was. Did you go to see Usher when he was in LA?
I did. So I went the night before.
Oh, that must have been kind of painful.
I've been missing him. I've been missing him by a hair for like the past 10 to 15 years.
Wow.
So.
Oh, that is. It's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
It definitely will. So do you know what, Alex? I want to get into some questions about R&B, okay? So I want to know, what are your top 3 modern day R&B classics?
Top 3. I would say Lucky's Painted comes to mind. I mean, it hasn't been out that long, but I would say Victoria's Jaguar 2 is up there. Yeah.
I love both of them.
Me too.
Victoria and Lucky are like, I mean, it's D-Mal.
Yeah.
D-Mal.
Right, yeah. A third one. I'm having trouble placing the third one. And I'm sure if I like tapped into my Spotify or Apple Music, I'd be like, oh, duh. But those are the 2, at least, that I could think about right now.
And what about songs? Do you have any that come to mind that you would say?
My mind is drawing a blank right now. I'm sure whatever it is, I'm sure D-Mile is behind it.
Yeah, I feel you. That's literally me as well. I'm the same.
Yeah.
So what about your top 3 R&B albums of all time?
Ooh, of all time?
Yeah.
Thriller, I think, will always be in the top. Just, I mean, from top to bottom, any aspect you want to talk about that album, it's flawless.
For sure. It's short as well, isn't it? It's a short album. Isn't it like 9 songs?
Yeah, it's not that many. It's not that many tracks on there. Yeah.
But it's like 10 out of 10 every song.
But it's so rich and there's so much there. So that's one. Full Moon for me, and I think. Did you say top 5?
3. You
top
got
3.
One more. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And then I would say Voodoo. Yeah.
What picks? Incredible. So what about producers? Who would you like to work with?
I worked with D-Mile before.
I
so I would like to work with him again.
Yeah, we need that. Alex, we need that.
Yeah.
I really need that to happen. Like, please. I know you can make it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no, yeah, we will. Babyface is, classic. I'm sorry, you said 3?
No, you're just Annie.
Oh, just Annie.
You're good.
And I'm just thinking of just whoever. I mean, Quincy is,
legend, yeah. Genius.
Goat of all goats.
Yeah, for sure. They're amazing picks again. So do you know what? I want to ask, in 2024, like, who is Alex Isley listening to?
Ooh, I've been listening to a lot of Krongbean, a lot of K Tronada. I have random moods. So sometimes I'll listen to, like, it's not always R&B, it's not always anything, but sometimes I'll listen to the Beach Boys, or sometimes I'll listen to just Stevie for a few days. So it just depends on what mood I'm in, because I listen to a little bit of everything.
Yeah, for sure. And it's really good to go back and study, because I'm such an old school like person.
Yeah,
I
same.
love the old school. It's the classic stuff, you know.
Yeah.
So I want to know, what is coming up next for Alex Isley in the next few months?
Good question. I have been in a really, really creative space for the past like almost 2 years. So I'm working on what'll be my first solo album in like within the past 5 years. This will be my first solo album in a minute. So working with a few different producers, and I'm excited.
So 2025
is when that all kind of gets revealed.
Wow.
So I can't wait.
So Alex, let everyone know your socials and where to follow you to keep updated.
So my socials are at Love Alex Isley, Instagram, Twitter, X, Facebook.
I still say that too.
Yeah, Twitter, I forget. Facebook.com, TikTok, everything is Love Alex Isley, LOVEALEX ISLEY.
So Alex, you have one of the most beautiful voices I've ever heard.
Thank you.
Would you mind blessing R&B Sauce with an acapella?
Okay. Let's see. The thought of your arms, I'm already safe. Thought I had done it all, but I got some grace. Even a bit of time and space. Reset on my heart in a brand new slate. You make me feel like I can love again. You make me feel like I can love again. You make me feel like I can love. You make me feel like I can love again.
You're gonna make me cry over here. Honestly, your tone. But I know you hear it all the time, right? You must hear it all the time, but what a blessing.
Thank you.
I want to say thank you so much for coming on R&B Sauce.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Thank you for making timeless music with so much feeling. And I'm always going to be supporting your music on R&B Sauce. Everyone, please make sure you go and stream and purchase as well Alex's music. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you so much. Thank you.